Junior Investigating Paranormal Society, the first national paranormal organization created and ran by teens. Investigating for over 6 years, the team gives you a unique perspective on investigating the paranormal. They are now offering courses online or in person on investigating and developing your mediumship skills. For more information, contact John Covey at 540-560-9190 or email them at jips.pa@gmail.com. Participants must be 13 or older with parental consent. Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host,
Rodney Shortridge,
and co-host,
Robin Dalton.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you can go on to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. From deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, to welcome everyone and thank you for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my redhead Irish queen, Robin Dalton.
Hey, y'all.
Tonight, our special guest is Ron Placone. Ron is a comedian, college speaker, media and radio personality. I was going to say medium. I'm sorry. Too much damn paranormal shit, people. Okay, well, anyway, I just want to take a minute and let everybody know our hearts and thoughts go out to all the senseless killings that's happened in the past week, from Minnesota to Louisiana, all the way down to Dallas, Texas. And now word is that there's been a truck run through a lot of spectators in France and killed a lot of people there. So our hearts, like I said, our hearts and thoughts go out to all these families and hope they could find peace in these dark hours. So, Robin, how was your week? I know that's kind of a shitty way to start off, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, my week's been decent, I reckon. Busy as always. Starting the new job this week. And been getting everything ready for our photo shoot and our meeting coming up this weekend. But, it's been a pretty decent week other than I was called racist yesterday. And that has bothered me really bad because I really don't feel like I am. Just because of a remark I made.
Well, it would depend on the remark. I could comment on that because I've known you for a while.
well, the conversation was similar to this. A friend, we were talking back and forth. It was on Facebook, and all I said was, I don't believe race should be an issue, and this time in 2016, it shouldn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, purple, there's assholes everywhere, and you shouldn't base it on race just because some people are evil. And I told him that, I basically said that I don't believe the BLM is any different than the KKK, in my opinion. I think they're both, I think they both have evil ways about them, and I was called a racist.
Well, my opinion is that Black Lives Matters. I think a lot of people are not looking at it, especially here in the South. They're not looking at it in the right aspect. These people are trying to bring attention to the Black lives because if you figure there's like I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think 18% of the population in the United States is black. Out of what is it, 60%, 50% white. So
Yeah.
I see where Black lives do matter. I understand their voice. I understand their reasoning, and to put them in the same context as the KKK, I can understand somebody getting pissed off at you. I really can.
Well, I mean, I can understand that, but at the same time, some of the people who are saying they're part of the BLM, they're out here also, like the guy in Bristol who's purposely targeting white people. I mean, to me, that's no different than a member of the KKK targeting a black person. I mean, it's just evil no matter what color you are. And I think if you're going to have a rights group, which is great, I think you need to watch who you let associate themselves with you. I mean, because they give everybody a bad name. And I really just feel that all lives should matter, not just black, not just white, not Asian, not, everybody should count. It shouldn't be based on race, religion, or, anything like that. It should be based on whether you're an asshole or a good person.
Well, see, you can say that about, what you're saying back when Martin King was making his movement, Malcolm X, because the black community has to have these movements to get attention to the situation that's going on right now. And I think where people were saying all lives matter, yes, they do. I agree with that. But today they had an event out here at Tazewell where all the white cops were holding signs up saying all lives matter. Okay, well, that's true, but it seemed awful funny with a bunch of white cops showing, that's that's still showing white power in a way, if you think about it. I think the cops needed to stay out of it, in my opinion. I mean, they felt like they needed to do it, and I love our cops. We got the best cops, in our area in the world, the way I look at it. But I do think it's an issue that they probably needed to stand down from.
Well, and I kind of, and I understand where you're coming from, but I can also understand why the law enforcement, because they're going to have another one down in Bland. The law enforcement's going to do that as well this weekend. The thing is, I think they're trying to show that they are not against black people, because I think so many people are saying, well, cops are just targeting black people. And I think that's why the cops, feel like they need to say, look, we're not against anybody. We're for everyone.
Well,
I really feel like that's why they did that.
Yeah, well,
am I on? Am I part of the show?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. I think I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get Ron on here. And
yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was still muted or not. All right,
no,
well, I'll.
Your timing was perfect, man. Oh, that's all right. Your timing was perfect.
I'm sorry. What is the co-host? What is your name again, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Robin.
One more time.
Robin, like the bird just spelled it.
Robin. Okay, cool. So I'll start by saying I don't think you're a racist. You seem like a rational, good person. I do strongly disagree with pretty much everything you said. I think that your comparison was very, I think, narrow and ill-informed. First of all, Black Lives Matter is a movement that does not have a former structure. It is a response to some horrific abuses of power that have been going on and have been going on without any consequence. That's what that is. The KKK, on the other hand, does have a structure, has existed for a long time, and their structure is very clear. It is based on racism, it is based on hate, and it is based on just an open prejudice. Black Lives Matter is not based on any of that. It is a response to what has been going on. And the All Lives Matter response to that, though I think for many people their hearts were in the right place, their heads were not. the popular analogy that's out there, let's say everybody is eating dinner at this big dinner, and there's this guy named Bob, and Bob's not given any food. And someone says, hey, Bob needs food. And everybody's response is, well, everybody needs food. And then they continue eating while Bob is sitting there with no food. That's kind of what's going on here. Of course, quote, all lives matter. Nobody's disputing that. But right now, unarmed black people are getting murdered in cold blood by corrupt law enforcement, and nothing is being done about it. Hence, this movement is necessary. When you have such a broad movement, are there going to be some people that might be bad apples going on? Sure, that's definitely going to happen. That's inevitable. But, you know, what happened in Dallas, that was not part of the movement. That was some fringe shooter, former military guy. We're still figuring out what all was going on there. So, yeah, I don't think you're a racist, but I think that a lot of what you said was ill-informed, and you should kind of reconsider your thoughts on a lot of that stuff.
Well, and I probably would if, you know, we don't hear, or at least here in my area, we have not heard exactly, you know, all we're hearing is that they're going out here and committing other crimes to combat what has happened to them is what, you know, what we're being told is happening. So, you know, I'm like, why is that any different than what, you know, like I said, the KKK would do? See,
what crimes are you referring to?
Yeah, I was going to say, Ed, what are you talking about? Because I have to disagree with you on that. With what, I mean, you only live 30, 40 miles from me. And the news I see and watch, you know, they talk about the substance within the group and the organization. And, yeah, they also talk about the, you know, whatever disturbances that they've caused, which is minute compared to the KKK.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, I understand that. I mean, but this just started. What I was saying, from what I have been informed, what I have been informed of, and from what I have heard, and from what I have read on media, is that I don't think you should solve violence with violence. Is what I'm getting at. I don't.
Well, I agree with that, but what exactly are you pointing to? Are you pointing to Dallas? Because I mean, Dallas was not. That was not Black Lives Matter that committed those acts.
No, I'm talking about.
So what are you referring to?
I'm referring to all these riots that have been televised, and all these riots that people are talking about, where, you know, all these fights are breaking out and the cops are being targeted. And I mean, not just in Dallas, because I didn't even read much on or pay much attention to what happened in Dallas. I know that cops were targeted. But, you know, all these other things that I'm hearing, and maybe it's not the BLM that is responsible for all of these. But everywhere you go now, all you're hearing is Black Lives Matter. The blacks are being targeted. The blacks are being this, and the blacks are being that. But
it ain't that they're rioting, they're protesting. There's a difference.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. The way they have done things, well, I don't know if it's BLM. But from what I have been told and from what I have read, some of the
what
things
have you been told and what have you read? I mean, I think that's what we're both. I mean, you're on a show right now, and it seems like both Rodney and myself have no idea what you're referring to. I mean, if you're referring to the protests, they have been majorly peaceful.
What I am referring to is ever since what was it that gentleman that was killed in the car with his girlfriend?
Well, that was in Minnesota, and he was pulled over. They were pulled over because of a broken taillight.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying ever since that happened, it seems like everything has gotten out of control.
Well, he was shot in his car trying to get his wallet out, and even told the officer he was getting his wallet out. And
I know that, and I understand that. And something should have been done about that. But what I'm saying is ever since that has happened, everyone has turned on each other everywhere, not just there, but everywhere.
Yeah, you can't give us one example. You haven't given us one example of that happening. You keep saying stuff you've heard, stuff you've read, but you have not pointed to one concrete thing. I mean, maybe there's something that happened that I'm not aware of, but you have yet to point it out to me.
I'm not talking about just anything in particular. I'm talking about everyone on social media and out in public, everywhere you go. This has become the biggest issue. I mean, people are.
Okay, well, everybody, I'd like to introduce Ron Placone. Thank you for joining the show. We've delved right into this show, and I'm loving it. This is how you start a show. It ain't that we're picking on you, Robin. That's not what. Please, you know I've known you long enough. I'm not picking on you. It's that if you're going, in my opinion, if you're going to say from what you've seen or what you've heard, then you got to have an example of what you've seen or what you heard to back up what you're trying to say, because you're dealing with a broad area, and in my opinion, this is what causes the problem.
Yeah, Robin, if you're going to make bold statements like the one you made, you need to have some evidence backing that up, and you don't have any. You have none whatsoever. So, you shouldn't do that.
Well, everybody has their opinion, and like I said, it's just from the things I have been hearing and seeing since all that happened. It just bothers me that everybody has turned against each other the way they have. I mean, we're not united. It seems like nowadays people should be more, united right now, and it seems like we're just getting further and apart further and further, and it gets frustrating.
Well, in my opinion, when you have just in a week, you have a man that was shot and killed in Minnesota in his car trying to get his wallet. You have a man that was tackled down in front of a police cruiser. I think it's a police cruiser, in a car, and had both his hands subdued, and he still was shot in the back of the head. He was no threat, had no weapon. And then the Dallas officers that were targeted, I mean, you're right. The killing's got to stop. I agree 100%. But the Black Lives Matters with the two cases with Minnesota and Louisiana, I think they have every right to protest and bring awareness to it.
Well, and they have every right to be upset, and people have every right. I mean, you look at all these killings that have made the news, and the reason they make the news is because deadly force was not necessary at all. In many of these cases, no force at all was necessary. And you can go back to Michael Brown, to Eric Garner. The list goes on and on. There is a serious problem in our justice system and in the way cops are recruited and in the way cops are trained. And while this was going on, you had Anonymous uncover the fact that there are cops that are open members of the KKK. Something like that should not be allowed, because if you are in a group like that, you don't think all lives are worth serving and protecting, so you shouldn't be able to be a police officer. So, yeah, I mean, there's a serious problem in the system, and racism is the big elephant in the room. There's no denying that.
I know, and to me it just seems absurd that it's such a big problem even now, today. To me it just seems absurd. I mean, I just don't understand why people make such a big issue of people's skin color. I mean, it just blows me away that people do that.
That's the one true thing. That's the one thing you've said so far that I agree with. You don't understand that. And I encourage you to kind of look at the bigger picture so that you won't make statements like that in the future. Because I think you're an intelligent woman and a kind person. But, to make statements like what you just said, that Black Lives Matter is no different than the KKK, that is incredibly ill-informed. You have no evidence whatsoever to back that up. And, yeah, I can certainly see why that would be frustrating to people. I encourage you to educate yourself a little bit more so that in the future you'll realize why that's a wrong thing to say.
Well, and that is a fair statement.
I know.
So, Ron, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Let's change
Well,
gears a little.
I'm a comedian, although I guess that'd be tough to tell so far in this thing because I haven't really been funny. But and I have a show called Indie Bohemians. I'm also a network partner of the Young Turks over on YouTube. I do segments for them. And I live in Los Angeles, and I speak at colleges on occasion about the media and about political apathy. And I think I met your daughter at Concord University, and that's how you got in touch with me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. They were a good group. They were a really good group over there at Concord. I had a really fun time there.
That's awesome. So what made you decide to become a comedian?
I always loved radio. I still do. And I thought I wanted to go into radio. And this was when I was in college. And I saw this article, I'm pretty sure was, I think the article was actually from like the 80s, but I didn't realize it at the time. And it said one of the ways you can get a good radio job, like I wanted to do a morning show or something like that. One of the ways you can get into that is if you do stand-up comedy. And, you know, I'd always been in stage. I did theater in high school. I played in punk bands in high school, and I played music from college, too. So I thought, well, I can do that. That seems fun. So I tried stand-up. I eventually got bit by the bug and started doing it professionally about, I think, 4 years later. And now it's kind of, I guess, coming full circle because now I'm still doing stand-up, still touring some, but I also do more radio, media stuff, segments and so forth. So that's still a big part of my creative output as well. So I guess in some ways my original intent hasn't changed, but yeah, it all started with a love for radio.
That's awesome. So are there any comedians that you look up to that may have helped you, fine-tune your own style of comedy?
Well, a lot of my favorite comedians I never got, unfortunately. I mean, I'm a big fan, I'm a big Bill Hicks fan, big Richard Pryor fan. But then there's other comedians that are still working today that a lot of people may have never heard of that have been huge inspirations to me. I'm lucky to be able to call some of them friends now. Rick Overton, I'm a huge fan of. He, if you saw him, you would recognize him because he's been in a buttload of movies, and he was in Groundhog Day, he was in Lost, he was in The Office, and he's also a comedian. He had an HBO special back in the 90s, a big mentor to me, still is. Let's see, who else, man? I just draw a blank whenever I'm put. Janine Garofalo fan, got to open for her before. I'm a big fan of Richard Lewis, got to open for him before, big fan of his as well. I'm a big fan of Dick Gregory. I did not get to open for him, but I got to meet him, which was an honor. And I guess that kind of sums it up, man. And there's a lot of people, like just guys on the road that I've collaborated with and that have really inspired me. W. Camel Bell, Drew Thomas, and a lot of these are names that are not quite household names. Some are bigger than others, but I recommend all your listeners Google these people because they're hilarious, brilliant folks.
Oh yeah, yeah, they are.
So, on another note, what are your views on politics? What are your thoughts on Donald Trump running for president?
Donald Trump Donald Trump is a Dallas TV star. He is a plutocrat. The most financially successful thing he has ever done in his life was he was born. He has no connection whatsoever to the general person, so I don't see how we could expect him to possibly lead the nation. He is disgustingly xenophobic. His knowledge of foreign relation and policies is completely non-existent. And, I mean, this is just this plutocratic wet dream. One thing that we've seen in this election so far, we've seen history made in two accounts. One person has proven that with the Internet and with grassroots rallying, you can beat the machine because that many people will not ignore your message. Another person has proven that you can still just buy an election for yourself. only one of those two things should be legal.
That's true. So do you think that Governor Mike Pence being picked as Trump's mate will help him with the election?
I do think that the fact that he picked an insider will help him because he is just so clueless to the political process, and he has not really surrounded himself with the right people thus far. So I do think picking an insider was very smart on his part. Will it help him as far as a numbers game, as far as winning certain states over others? I mean, at this point, I don't know. I think we would need to be further into the general before I would make a judgment like that.
So what's your thoughts about Bernie Sanders finally backing Hillary?
I think he did what he had to do. I think he recognized that if he did not endorse her, he would be excluded from the DNC, from the convention. And I think he knew that that was, for the movement, the worst thing that could happen. So I think he grudgingly did what he had to do. If you listen to him talk about Hillary Clinton, I actually was of the notion where I think what he did to kind of cope with it all was he just talked about Jill Stein and hoped nobody would notice, because he said that Hillary Clinton supports a living wage, she supports free education, she supports free health care. She does not support any of those things. She is pro-fracking, she is pro-TPP. To call her a progressive is nothing short of delusional. But Bernie Sanders did what he had to do, because I think he understands that what he started, and I wouldn't even say he started this movement. I would say he inspired this movement. I mean, a progressive movement has been going on in this country for a while now, and the pot really got stirred with the Bush administration, the response to that. So I don't think he started this movement. I think he inspired this movement, and he took it to a higher level. And now he realizes that he's got to play the game a little bit to make sure the movement stays healthy and that momentum is carried into the midterms where we actually get some true progressives in Congress and the Senate.
So how do you feel, or your thoughts on the FBI's decision not to suggest prosecution of Mrs. Clinton over the emails?
I think it was just kind of more inside baseball. I mean, I think that what she did was wrong. But, I mean, the Bush administration did something very similar. They did something a lot worse, actually, as far as all those emails that were deleted during such a heated time when they were corruptly leading a country into war. So I think it's more just political inside baseball, and it's a shame. I think it's wrong. But, I mean, Hillary is a true Washington insider. That's what she is. And, I mean, our choices in this election, I mean, it is the biggest unpopularity contest that I have ever seen in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you kind of decide to start posting up many videos discussing such hot topics such as the election?
Well, I've been affiliated with the Young Turks for a couple years now, and the way that happened, that's why I make the videos I make. I mean, they're a YouTube network. They're focused on video and online video. To be honest with you guys, I kind of am, like I told you guys, I love radio. I really do. I love doing stuff like this. And I feel like there's just a special element to just the spoken medium, and I am one of the, I love podcasts. I have a syndicated radio show called Indie Bohemians. I also do a podcast version of it, and I still love radio a bunch. But, the Young Turks are committed to video, and I like to do video too. And the way that they found me was I opened for a comedian named Lee Camp, who I should have mentioned when I was mentioning people I'm a fan of, but I opened for Lee, and someone that works with the Young Turks was in the audience and saw me perform. Now, simultaneously, while this was going on, I had an audio segment called Thoughts, Rants, and Cold Coffee, which was pretty much similar to the videos I make now. It would be like short kind of social commentary rants about something going on. in the news, and it was, satirical, but also kind of had a point of view, whatever. And I was doing it for one of their network partners, a show called The David Pakman Show, which still carries my content. And they said, hey, I noticed you do those rants for David Pakman. Those are really funny. Those are really cool. I like them. Why aren't you doing videos of those? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't, I just make it an audio thing. I just don't do video. And they were like, well, that would be perfect for our network. And I said, well, if you're offering me an opportunity to be part of your network, because I'm a big fan of the Young Turks, I would love that opportunity. So I'll start making videos if I can be part of your network. So that's why I make videos. I like making videos. I like the forum a lot. I'm a little more naturally an audio guy. But, what can you do? It's 2016.
Right. So do you get a lot of hate mail or hateful comments due to your public views on these hot topics and issues?
Not really. Everyone gets a troll here and there when you're on the internet. But not really. Not really. I don't have a better answer for that. Every now and again, I did a video recently about heterosexual Pride Day because I think that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. So I made this video kind of being a parody of it, and there were some people that did not realize I was kidding. So they kind of said, like, why are you doing this, blah, 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 and then other people knew it was a joke, so they would, like, make comments, like, joking around, because the whole premise of the video was, oh, it's so hard for me being a straight white male, and it was satire, and it was a joke. And some people, they got it and they played along and they were like, oh, what did your parents say when they found out you liked women and stuff like that. But then other people didn't realize it was a joke and they were like, how dare you suggest that you're oppressed and blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of funny. And it was also kind of funny because there were a couple right-wing evangelical churches that also didn't realize it was a joke, so they were sharing it amidst their congregation. Without actually watching the video and realizing it was a joke that was actually completely against their point of view. So
Rodney's lost a lot of Facebook friends over his point of view.
Oh, yeah. But I don't give a shit. I have a right to my opinion, and living here in the South, my opinion is kind of progressive, and they don't like it. I don't give a shit. It's my opinion.
Well, hey, man, come to California. There's.
Oh, I've been to California.
So, are you more noticed? Do you feel like by your community due to your comedy or your political views?
Am I more noticed? What do you mean by that?
Do people seem to notice you more? Since you've been doing these videos and such.
I guess so. It's helped me build an audience. I have an audience on YouTube that I would not have had otherwise. My audience is not huge by any means.
Right.
But as far as, an independent content creator, I do okay. And it's opened other doors for me, and hopefully it will open some more. It's any content creator today. You always face the obstacle of trying to build something sustainable out of your creative quilt, and I'm no different.
Okay. Yeah, now we can.
We lost you for a second there, Rodney.
I don't know what is wrong with this damn thing. It's happened to me last week. Okay. What I was asking. Have you done any TV or movies as an actor or as a comedian?
I have not. I'm not much of an actor. Being out here in LA, the pressure is pretty high to dive into that side of things. But I'm more interested in writing. So that's where I focus a lot of my energy is trying to find writing opportunities. And I've not done any TV spots. I've been on Sirius XM some, and I did a panel on TMZ before, but as far as Comedy Central, I haven't been on anything like that yet.
Oh, okay.
I hope to at some point.
Oh, yeah. We'll be looking for you.
I appreciate it.
because I love comedians. Oh my gosh, I was raised, and I did the theater and stuff too. So I just never made it. I decided to have kids.
It happens.
So yeah. So when you go to colleges and universities, what do you discuss with your younger adults? Is it just comedy, or do you have serious discussions with them about the world and life?
I do a couple different things at colleges. I do just straight up do stand-up at colleges. I also do a program, and that's the program that your daughter and her friends were at, called it's now called Battling Political Apathy, and it's about civic engagement, and it's about the media structure in the United States. So I talk about the media and some of the problems with the way our media is structured, and I talk about what it means to be civically engaged, what it means to ask questions, what it means, like, why is voting important? What does it mean to be a voter? What does it mean to be civically engaged as such? And, we talk about some examples of what's going on in the world. We talk some about politics. And it's a nonpartisan show. Inevitably, whenever I have my Q&A afterwards, we they'll ask me my personal views, and I don't lie. I tell them. But the show itself is nonpartisan.
Can you describe what it's like, for yourself as a comedian to go on tour around the countryside in such a divided country and times that we're living in?
Yeah, you know what? People say that, and the more I travel, I find that less and less to be the case. I mean, if you turn on cable news a bunch, you're going to feel that way because our media structure thrives on sensationalism and hyperbole and are constantly trying to polarize us because fear sells. But, the reality is that we have a lot of the same principles. We have a lot of the same. We just want to get along and pursue our American dream, quote unquote, whatever that is. And that's a different thing to a lot of different people. To some people, that means you get an entry-level job at a company, you work your way up, and you make a bunch of money. To some people, that means owning a house. To some people, that means getting to the highest level on Pokemon Go. To some people, that means not having a boss and being able to make a living. Maybe it's small, maybe it's not, doing something creative. It means different things to different people, and those chances are still out there. And I think that we're a lot more alike than we realize. I mean, I've done jokes about not being religious in some of the most conservative parts in the country, and people laugh.
Well, that's good. So how do you come up with your materials for your shows? Do you just do it as you go, or do you sit down and write certain things down and go by that, or how do you do your shows?
A little bit of everything. I mean, I write some stuff down. If I'm writing a video, as you pointed out, Robin, those are a bit more topical. So usually I'll pick out an article or pick out a topic. I'll write about it. I'll make some notes for myself. Then I'll shoot the video. If I'm writing stand-up, a lot of times I just like to record. So I'll just kind of record it because, for me it's like, well, it's an audible thing anyway, right? I'm performing it to a group of people. So I just kind of like to record it, and then I try to listen for the rhythm, listen to the beat, try to figure out where the punchline is. And if I'm writing a script, I kind of just sit down and try to figure out the script in front of a document on my computer. And sometimes I like to sit by a lake if I can, but usually I'm sort of just in my apartment.
So do you ever worry about offending someone where everything's so politically correct nowadays?
No, I don't. And to be honest, I think I get asked that question a lot because I do a lot of colleges. I think that is an overstated thing as well. I mean, that whole colleges are too PC thing that has been a popular sentiment for a little over a year now. That can all be traced back to a conversation that Jerry Seinfeld had with his niece. And it wasn't even here's the thing. Jerry Seinfeld, first of all, just putting this disclaimer out here, Jerry Seinfeld is a brilliant comedian. As a stand-up, he was phenomenal. Is it my personal cup of tea as a listener? Not really. It's not really the comedy I migrate to, but I certainly respect him as a stand-up. And if I can be half as good as he is as a stand-up, I'll be happy with my career. That being said, though, he's also, I think, a billionaire at this point. If not, he's very wealthy. Jerry Seinfeld is not performing at colleges. He does not have to. People like me perform at colleges. That's how we make our living. So Jerry Seinfeld, his point of reference for saying what he said was a conversation he had with his niece, with one person in that age group. And all of a sudden it was taken and it was blown up, and it's like, oh, colleges are so PC and this and that. I don't think that's true. Are we a little more aware than we might have been in the past? Maybe. But I don't buy that, and I don't buy the whole, like, this generation's lazy. I don't buy the whole, this generation is in an economic climate the generations before them didn't have to deal with. There's more students working part-time than probably in any generation prior to that. They weren't necessarily given a fair shake. So those are some of the issues I see. The PC thing, I have yet to see it, and, you know, with all due respect to Jerry Seinfeld, let me and other comedians at my level worry about that, because we're the ones that are at the colleges now, not him.
Right.
Right.
So are you limited at all on, on your stand-up shows, such as, political comedy and a wide range of topics that you use for your shows?
I mean, I try to, adapt to the audience. I try not to pander, but I'll try to. I mean, if I'm at an event that, I have certain material that I'll only go into in the appropriate forum.
Right.
If I'm doing like a private corporate type event, I will not curse as much. I will probably not have as much political material. But, really, usually if a crowd likes you and if they trust you, they're willing to go places with you. So you just kind of take them there in a diplomatic way. And people laugh and they have a good time. And if I'm doing an hour, I have the liberty to lose a crowd and then get them back. And I don't mind when that happens. So yeah, I guess like the short answer is yes, but not really.
Okay.
Well, the question I have is going to kind of get off of this little subject, but what's your thoughts on Bill Cosby?
Oh, Bill Cosby. Geesh. I think it's really sad what he did, and it's very it's just horrible what that guy did. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say he's definitely guilty. There's no way that this many people would have come forward. But money talks, and as a comedian, he's certainly brilliant. But even prior to this, no pun intended, even prior to this, I never put him in the same camp as a Richard Pryor or a George Carlin or a Dick Gregory or a Lenny Bruce. And I think part of that is my personal taste. I'm kind of drawn to something that has more of a social commentary bite to it, that's kind of confronting powers that be and that sort of thing. Cosby was never that guy. He made it clear he was never that guy. And that's fine. But so I was never a huge Cosby fan to begin with. But I think that what he did was terrible. He should be in jail. And it's just very sad that, people would do stuff like that. And I guess it's one of those things when you're such a big star, some people kind of get corrupted by that.
Right.
Well, do you think that what he's done will affect the comedy world any or at all?
That's tough for me to say because, first of all, being somebody that's entrenched in the industry, sometimes my perception can be a bit skewed. And what I mean by that is sometimes I need to kind of step outside of myself for a second and realize to a lot of people, and maybe even to both of you guys, the idea of following a comedian or being a fan of a comedian is still kind of alien to them. But the truth is that these days you can follow a comedian the same way you follow a band, the same way you're a fan of a music act. You can be a fan of a comedy act. That's going on. There's a lot of comedians that are trying to build their own brands, that are building their own niches, and are trying to tour sustainably on their own, the same way a music act would. So it's kind of an exciting time, but, I still need to recognize that's still in many ways a subculture thing and an underground thing. So in the big scheme of things, would that have an effect on people that are willing to attend comedy shows? I don't know. I would like to say no. I mean, you shouldn't judge an entire art form based on one person's actions. But, I mean, maybe it will. I don't know.
Wow. So what was the process of you being able to take your stand-up on the road?
I mean, it took a long time. I mean, when you start out, you go to open mic nights and you try to work your stuff out. And, you fail for a very long time. Most people. I mean, some people within a year or so, they get really funny. But most people, it takes a couple years to really have a body of material that you can be on stage for a long time and make a general audience laugh and entertain them. So, it took me a while. But then I had about 25 minutes of material, and I submitted that to some booking agencies, and somebody gave me a shot. And this was back when I was living in the Northwest. So my first dates on the road was in like Montana and Idaho, like really middle of nowhere America. But they were my first road dates. I mean, I still have my first itinerary. I still have it saved on an old computer just for sentiment's sake, right? Because I was so excited that somebody was paying me to travel and do comedy. And then it just kind of built from there. Eventually I started working other regions of the country. Eventually I started, like getting to play nicer venues and bigger clubs and longer running clubs. Eventually I started doing colleges. Eventually I developed a program for colleges that was separate from stand-up but still special to me and was doing everything. And then, so it's just, every year it just builds a little bit. I don't travel as much now because I live in Los Angeles, so I do more Los Angeles-centered things, but I still do the colleges and stuff like that, and I still do some of the bigger clubs. But I'm not on the road 40-some weeks a year like I was when I wasn't living in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure that you have some good jokes about Donald and Hillary and probably even Bernie. So can I put you on the spot and maybe give you opportunity to tell us a few of them?
I don't know, man. I tell you, I don't understand Donald Trump in many ways. I made that very clear. I mean, think about it this way, Rodney and Robin. Donald Trump, to this day, the only idea he's known. Actually, you know what? I'll throw it back to you. Robin, I'll throw it back to you. I'll put you on the spot. Name one idea that Donald Trump has.
He has a lot running his mouth, but he's never told me how he plans on doing anything. He's like bringing jobs, back to America and all this. How to, he tells people what they want to hear, but he has no way of explaining how he's going to do it.
Okay, so he has no ideas, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. I think the only idea he is known for is the wall, right? We hear about the wall that he wants to build. This guy has the same ideas for our country that an 8-year-old has the first time they play The Sims. He wants to operate this country as if it's a little playground. It's simply not going to work. And, Hillary, I have mixed feelings about her, too. Where are you guys at? Rodney, where are you leaning?
Well, I'm leaning to Hillary. I've talked to a lot of people about this. I'm not really happy with the email situation, but I damn sure don't want Donald Trump up there. Lord have mercy, God no.
I'm scared we're going to get meat.
Robin, where are you at? I didn't hear you.
I said if Donald gets elected, I'm scared we're going to get nuked. Really, at this point, I feel like it's kind of, you got to pick the lesser of two evils. So, I am leaning towards, Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Where are you guys at again?
She does have a background.
Well, I live in Virginia. She lives in West Virginia. Okay,
cool. Yeah, no, I feel you. That's kind of like the tough decision we're put in. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. and I still am. And now at this point for me, I need to kind of recognize what's most important to that cause and what's most important to that movement. The way I see it right now at this point, having Donald Trump, like let's say that the Bernie Sanders movement that he inspired, let's say that is a road, right? That's just a road going somewhere. I think that if Hillary Clinton is our next president, that would be a pothole in that road. But if Donald Trump is our next president, the road is closed for construction and it's going to declare bankruptcy 2 months later. So I kind of share that sentiment as well. The one cool thing about living in California where I live is I can use my vote to make a statement. So chances are I'm going to vote for Jill Stein. But I don't encourage anybody in a swing state to do that.
No. Well, I'm in a swing. Excuse me. I'm in a swing state. Robin's not. She's in a red state.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I can't do it. You two can.
True. That's true. Robin, you can make a big statement and throw your vote for Jill Stein. You could do that.
Well,
or
I may do that.
You can throw it to Johnson. There you go.
So,
yeah, you could
do you
still
want
run.
any? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying you could still run. Ironically enough, on my show, the last guest I had was a guy that wrote a book. In fact, I'm going to throw this at you guys. All right, so every presidential election, I'm sure you guys know this, there are general people like you and me that run for office. They actually file their paperwork and they are technically running for president. How many people do you think did that this year? I do know the answer because of this guest on my show, but I want you guys to guess first.
I have no idea.
Just throw something out there.
I'd say 56.
56. All right. Robin, what do you got?
I'd say
not that number. Well, all right. What's your guess?
I'd say 40, 45.
40, 45. Okay. Rodney, if we're doing over-under here, Rodney, you win because the answer, you guys ready for this? 1,700.
Oh, my
really?
God.
I kid you not. This guy wrote the book. He did the research. 1,700 people ran for president this year, I think because they were just so disgusted with their choices. And a lot of these people know they have no chance at winning, but I guess they're trying to make a statement, whatever. I interviewed this guy. He went around the country meeting with some of these people, and he wrote a book about what he experienced. And some of these people, they're your conspiracy nut, tinfoil hat wearing folks. Some of these people just have some policy ideas and want to try to make a splash, however small it might be. Some of these people, it's their way of coping with their divorce. Some of these people are literally anatomy parts. They're in Buffalo. There's this group of people that nominated a woman's buttocks to run for president. So this woman's buttocks is technically running for president, and the guy never got to meet the woman. Her name's Sydney, and the candidate's name is actually Sydney's voluptuous buttocks, and he never got to meet Sydney. So we can only imagine what that buttocks is like. But,
that must be
yeah.
That must be one fine ass. I'll say it. You won't, I will.
Well, I did say this. If Sydney's voluptuous buttocks were ever to win, I do think that there would be a golden time to bring back the fireside chat, and more people would probably tune in than ever before.
Oh, damn. Oh, my gosh. What is this country come to? Oh, my God. Well, speaking of conspiracy theories, I know there's some conspiracy theories about Hillary and Donald. Have you heard any good, juicy ones on either one of them that you'd like to share with us?
I can't really think of any. I mean, I think there's the whole thing with the email thing, but I wouldn't say that's a conspiracy theory. That's more like, some people I think read into it a little too much. I was frustrated by it just like you were. But as far as straight up conspiracy theories, I can't think of any. What have you guys heard?
I've heard that like Donald Trump's hair is the hair of the end of a chimpanzee's ass or something like that. Or Hillary Clinton.
That might just be somebody trying to me.
Oh, I know, but or Hillary's got a bigger dome than most men walking around.
Those aren't conspiracy theories. Those are just people making speculations, not being a fan of one person or the other. Those aren't actual conspiracy theories. A conspiracy theory would be Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are secret lovers involved with a three-way with Bill, and they orchestrated this whole thing. That would be a conspiracy theory, right? That's not. I'm just saying that would be a conspiracy theory. I don't think that's out there. I don't.
Sarah Palin would be their love child also. You got to throw it in there.
Yeah. Sarah Palin would make the postcoital snacks afterwards. And that's a conspiracy theory.
Oh, my gosh. Lord, we're running out of time here. We're about down to 5 minutes. But, I got to admit one thing about this show. It started out with a bang. We haven't had many shows that start out like that. So, Robin, I really do appreciate that.
Well, see, I usually don't say much about stuff like this. It was just bothering me that, because in my heart, I really am not racist. I'm not.
I don't think either, Robin. I really don't. I don't think you are. But you need to do some reading and realize why what you said was the wrong thing to say, and you should kind of evolve your views on that.
Yeah, bad Robin. Smack your hand and know better.
We've all made mistakes, Robin.
We've all made mistakes. Now it's turning into an intervention, Robin. We need to talk to you, and it's serious.
You ain't never had a serious conversation with me in 8 years.
Gee, I wonder why. You just set that up. Oh, my God. Thank you. And you're the comedian. I'm surprised he didn't jump on you on that one. Oh, my God. Well, do you have any projects or events or anything that you can discuss with us real quick?
I would just like to direct people to, they can find out more about me. RonPlacone.com is my website. If you do the YouTube thing, it's just youtube.com/RonPlacone. That's my channel. My radio show and podcast is called Indie Bohemians. If you just search Indie Bohemians on iTunes, you'll find the podcast. And the podcast is the same as radio show. We like station IDs and music breaks because it has to fill the broadcast hour. In the podcast, you don't have any of that. It's just the content. So it's just our preambles, our segments, and our interviews, and it's just all combined into one. So if you listen to the podcast, you're not missing anything. Or if you listen to it on one of our affiliates on the terrestrial dial across the country, we have affiliates online as well. You're just hearing the full hour show. And that can that's the thing in Virginia or West Virginia right now. But there's a good chance that'll change before the end of the year. I mean, I used to perform in both those states quite frequently, but I'm not touring in that region at the moment. So,
well, if you get anything coming up this way, just let us know. I'll have her there, so you can have a lot of fun with her.
You know what? I hope that happens, and when it does happen, Robin, I look forward to hearing about your results. I look forward to you being like, you know what? That was the wrong thing to say. Here's why. I looked into some stuff, and you were right this time, Ron. But
I ain't good at homework.
Hey, it's at your leisure. You got plenty of time. You got an open-ended timetable here to be like, yeah, I missed the mark there. And then you know what? I'm wrong all the time about various things. You're going to prove me wrong on something. I don't like artichokes. You're going to prove to me why I should give artichokes a chance.
As soon as somebody tells me why I should, then I'll let you know.
Well, we're down to the last 2 minutes, Ron. I do appreciate you coming on the show, man. It started out with a bang, and I do greatly appreciate that.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, and you're welcome back anytime if you want to give us hillbillies another try.
Yeah, sure, man. I enjoyed it. I had fun talking to you guys.
Oh, we did too. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime, man.
Thanks, man.
Well, that's it for us tonight. I want to thank Ron Placone for coming on the show and thanking everyone who took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network and also all the first responders, our men and women in armed services. Thank you all for your service. Turn in next week, July 21st, when we have another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our guest will be one of the founding fathers of the 1970s American East Coast adult cinema, Carter Stevens. And until then, be safe and have a good night.
Night, y'all.
Junior Investigating Paranormal Society, first national paranormal organization created and ran by teens. Investigating for over 6 years, the team gives you a unique perspective on investigating the paranormal.
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
Before you lies a beautiful meadow. In that meadow, Progressive Direct has placed its auto insurance rates alongside those of competitors. You select the lowest rate and feel a great sense of calm. A great sense of...
Compare Progressive Direct rates with competitors' rates so you can rest easy. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.